former UKIP leader Nigel Farage, and he joins us now live from Westminster. A very good morning to you, Mr Farage. You said yesterday that you could have had an easy win. Do you really mean that? You've tried 7 times and not had much success.
I think so, yes. I think
really?
so. I mean, look, I was very aggrieved by what happened in 2015. Clearly, that campaign I fought down in Thanet was not contested on the basis of a level playing field. But look, forget that. I came into politics from business 20 years ago because I wanted to get Britain out of the European Union. And I'm very pleased with the role that UKIP has played to help us get where we are. The question is, how do I best help the Brexit process from here? Would I do it best by being a backbench MP, or would I do it better by remaining the leader of a group in the European Parliament with a front row seat next to Mr Juncker and in a place where the negotiations will take place and where the Parliament has a final right of veto? And I think I can better serve the cause there.
Many people will be confused by that, because what you've really been campaigning for all these years is to get control back to the UK, for us to have key decisions on the laws, on the negotiations that are going to be taking place over the next couple of years. And you're now saying you don't want to be involved in that, you're going to rule yourself out, you can do better in Europe.
I think you're missing the point. There will be no negotiations in Westminster whatsoever. They will not be part of this process. And yes, of course, I want us to be out of those institutions, but we're not out yet. We may have won the war, we've yet to win the peace. And the European Parliament, we could go through 2 years of really hard work, have a good deal, and those MEPs could veto it. And I want to use my position, particularly with European media, to make sure that French and German and Belgian voters put huge pressure on their MEPs to say, come on, let's have a common-sense trade deal with the United Kingdom. They're a very important export market to us. Now, I can't promise you, sitting here this morning, that I will succeed with this, but I'm going to try.
What about UKIP coming up then? Are you going to? You said yesterday that you thought Paul Nuttall had 6 weeks to prove himself. What did you mean by that?
Well, so does Jeremy Corbyn, so does Tim Farron. All of them have 6 weeks to prove themselves. I mean, that's the nature.
It's not a ringing endorsement of your leader. I mean, do you think he can do it? Is he going to win a seat? Can he get?
Well, what I've said is that I've known him for a long time. He's a strong person, and I think he's going to emerge very well out of the next 6 weeks. After what was a difficult start for him as leader of UKIP. But no, the real person's going to come through. I'm confident of that. I honestly think that what you've seen in the last week are a significant number of UKIP voters listening to Theresa May's message that if you don't vote for her, Mr Corbyn and Mr Farron and the SNP will reverse the Brexit process. And they've been scared by it. When they realise, as these weeks develop, that actually there is going to be a Tory landslide, they can vote UKIP because they want to have a strong voice to hold the government to account. I think you'll see a big change in the current poll ratings.
But do you think that Paul Nuttall is the right man to be leading your party and able to do that?
Yes.
You do? OK, fair enough. Will you be campaigning alongside him and putting your support behind him and supporting UKIP still?
Oh, yes, absolutely. No question about that. I'm going to support Paul, and I will go and do some candidate visits. And, in fact, I will be in a UKIP target constituency this very evening.
And I just want to ask you, in relation to the attacks that took place in Paris last night, lots of coverage of it, as you would expect, this morning, and many people saying that a third of the electorate still in France are undecided. Do you think that the events last night could do very well for your good friend Marine Le Pen?
Look, I think Marine Le Pen is going to top the poll in the first round anyway. Whether last night has a direct effect or not, I don't know. But I think the message that we already have a problem with homegrown terror in our countries, why on earth would you add to it with open borders? And France has a bigger problem with that than we do. That message is very strong, so I expect to see her go through to the second round. And we could be in a couple of weeks' time, we could be in for a result in France that, in terms of the European Union, is far bigger than Brexit.
Look, you talk about borders there. A big issue that's been fought and argued during the whole Brexit campaigns here. Yesterday, Theresa May came out and she said that she thinks that she can get migration into this country down to the tens of thousands. Do you think that, in a way, that means that she's subsuming the role that UKIP used to take? A lot of people who would have voted for UKIP are now going to be turning their allegiance to the Conservatives.
Why would anyone believe her? She told us that as Home Secretary in 2010. She had the job for 6 years. She completely and utterly failed. Not only did it not come down to tens of thousands, it was up to 1/3 of a million. She failed completely and totally. And she may have made that statement yesterday, but that was after Karen Bradley had appeared on Sky, the Culture Secretary, and said as far as she was concerned, it wasn't about numbers, but about the quality of people coming. The one thing you cannot trust this government on, and Theresa May on, is immigration, and that is why you need a strong UKIP voice in British politics to hold them to account.
And so is it about numbers? What's the UKIP view?
Of course it's about numbers. You know, why is Jeremy Corbyn today launching his campaign on class sizes? Well, the reason, Mr Corbyn, though you may find it tough to admit, is because the population is going through the roof. And it's going through the roof because net migration, on the official figures, has been running at 1/3 of a million people every single year.
OK, Nigel Farage.